Just 2 years after the last federal election, Canadians are once again heading to the polls. This comes as a result of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau calling a snap election, a relatively common result of minority governments. Contending parties have about 5 weeks to keep the reigning Liberal Party from forming a majority government. Currently, the party sits at 157 seats, 13 seats from the majority territory. Should any of these parties prove successful, Canada will have a new Prime Minister. With this in mind, who is running for the top job in Canada? Justin Trudeau is the MP for Papineau and the leader of the Liberal Party. He is the 23rd and current Prime Minister of Canada, and he was first elected in 2015. He not only made history as the youngest elected Prime Minister, but he is also the son of a former Prime Minister. Following in his father's footsteps, Pierre Trudeau, Justin is a progressive and a highly controversial Prime Minister. His tenure has been marred by numerous scandals and ethics violations. Such controversies include accepting lavish trips from lobbyists, attempting to influence a prosecution of SNC-Lavalin, and giving over $900 million to a charity run by executives close to his family. Beyond alleged corruption and ethics violations, Trudeau has made global headlines. In 2019, old photos emerged depicting the Prime Minister in blackface. This news was prolonged because multiple images kept appearing, and Trudeau himself was unable to confirm how many times he has worn the racist symbol. Despite the controversy, Trudeau successfully won the 2019 federal election, but was reduced to a minority. Just 2 years after that election, and across a span of an entire pandemic, Trudeau has called for a snap election. Erin O'Toole is the MP for Durham and the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. A former officer for the Royal Canadian Air Force, O'Toole was first elected in Parliament in 2012. He was appointed the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Trade, and then became the Minister for Veterans Affairs in 2015. O'Toole then ran for leader in 2017, but came in third behind former MP Maxime Bernier and former leader Andrew Scheer. Finally, O'Toole won the leadership in the summer of 2020 and has led the party since. A moderate conservative, O'Toole is the first pro-choice leader of the Conservative Party. He is also pro-LGBTQ rights and most notably for a carbon tax. The latter stirring controversy from his base, as O'Toole pledged to never run on a carbon tax during the leadership race. While his moderate positioning on issues has angered the Conservative base, polls show Erin O'Toole and the Conservative Party surging ahead into a competitive race alongside Justin Trudeau. Jagmeet Singh is the MP for Burnaby South and the leader of the New Democrat Party. A relatively new leader, Jagmeet Singh held on through a difficult 2019 election and is now preparing to turn the tide against Justin Trudeau. Ideologically, Singh is a progressive and a social democrat. During the pandemic, Singh has managed to influence the minority government to leverage policies. Such policies include the CERB, an emergency payment to all Canadians. Jagmeet Singh is notably the most likable leader. According to multiple polls, Singh tops just about every demographic when it comes to likability. This is serving the NDP well, as the party has struggled financially and electorally since the passing of former leader Jack Layton. Yves François Blanchet is the MP for Belleuil-Chambly and the leader of the Bloc Québécois. Despite being included on this list, Blanchet and the Bloc are not able or interested in actually forming a national government. The Bloc is a Quebec nationalist party, and thus exclusively running candidates in the 78 seats of Quebec. The mandate of the Bloc Québécois is to play a power broker position in the federal government and advocate for Quebec issues. These range from national essential issues such as the environment and Quebec issues such as sovereignty. Annamie Paul is a newcomer to the leadership stage. She became leader of the Green Party in 2020, replacing longtime leader Elizabeth May. Her relatively short tenure as leader has not been without controversy, however. The Green movement in Canada has been divided within its ranks in relation to Israel, and this strife has played a significant role in damaging her leadership and the party. Although much is unknown, it is understood that the backroom powers of the Green Party have attempted to remove Annamie Paul as leader. This was a consequence of Paul's support of Israel, which led Fredericton MP Jenica Atwin's exit from the party. Angered by a seemingly internal coup, Paul called out Justin Trudeau as a fake feminist. Trudeau's part in this is related to the fact that the Liberal Party allowed then Green MP Jenica Atwin to defect to their side. Despite a chaotic tenure, Paul has sustained her leadership and is determined to run a full campaign. Maxime Bernier is the leader of the People's Party of Canada and the former Conservative MP for the Beauce. After failing to secure the leadership of the Conservative Party, Maxime Bernier left to form the People's Party of Canada, a right-wing populist alternative. In 2019, the People's Party of Canada failed to gain any seats, with Bernier himself losing his own seat and getting 2% of the national vote. Following the 2019 election, Maxime Bernier ran in the by-election in York Centre, where he came in fourth with 1.6% of the vote, or just a couple hundred votes. Since then, however, the PPC has seen a surge in the polls, garnering new votes and support from vaccine-hesitant groups and pro-freedom groups. Bernier himself is now seeking to reclaim his old seat in the Beauce and attempt to make the PPC a fully legitimized and national party. With only weeks left to decide, these leaders are traveling across the country, lobbying Canadians for a chance to govern. So who will win?